Hey y'all, so this is your Unit 4A test review. You have it on Wednesday and Thursday this week. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get started. This will probably be like 4 parts just because of how long it is. So these will be in 15-minute segments, so you can watch them from there. So up first, we've got AKS 15. So this is adding, subtracting, and multiplying and dividing rational expressions. So for instance, on number 26, it wants us to combine like terms. And what you're going to have to do is you want in the denominator for it to be the same. Back in like first grade or third grade, when your teacher told you to add these fractions together, you had to first multiply by the denominators. So like you would multiply this times 2 in the top and the bottom. You multiply this one times 3 in the top and the bottom. And then you would combine like terms. So this would be 2 over 6 plus 3 over 6. And then you'd get 5 over 6. Yeah. Okay. So same thing is going to happen over here, except we just have variables. So for instance, this is going to be 6 over 4x to the second plus 2 times 5x. We're going to multiply by the denominators. So we're going to multiply this guy by 5x, this one by 5x. And we're going to multiply this times 4x squared over 4x squared. All right, so when we do that, we're going to get, I'm going to choose a different color, 30x from here. So 30x plus 8x squared over 20x to the third power. And then we're going to see if we can simplify it. Okay, so what we have in the top, we can actually factor out a 2x. So that's going to give me 2x times 15 plus 4x all over 20x to the third. As you can see, there's an x right here and there's an x cubed right here. Well, we know from our exponent rules that that's going to be a subtraction, and we're going to have an x squared in the denominator, right? And 2 divided by 20 is going to give us 10 in the denominator, with this left over in the top. So 15 plus 4x. Kind of just depends on the test. If they want you to write it a certain way, but obviously the most correct way to write this would be 4x plus 15 over 10x squared. Okay. So next we're going to work through 27. So keeping that in mind, this whole process in mind, on 27, what's going to happen is you're going to multiply what's in the denominator. So for instance, we're going to multiply by 7x over here and 3x over here. So that's going to look like this. 3x times 3x times 7x times 7x. Okay. So negative 4 times 3x is going to give me negative 12x. Negative 5 times 7x is going to give me negative 35x over 21x squared. Cool. So then we're going to combine our like terms in the top. So that's going to give me negative 47x over 21x squared. Now we can simplify this, right? So that's going to give me negative 47 over 21. And I know my rational exponent rules, so that's going to give me x in the denominator. Because 1 minus 2 is going to give me negative 1, and we're going to put that on the bottom. So that's going to be that x to the first power. Just as a side note, if it says to state the excluded values, you're going to take what's in the denominator, and you're going to set it equal to 0 and solve. So x could not equal 0 in this case, because otherwise that would give us an undefined answer. And hopefully your teacher has talked about excluded values, and if they haven't, and you have questions, just come see me. All right, so on this next one, 28, same process. So we're going to take those things and we're going to multiply by them for each fraction. So, for instance, we're going to multiply by 6x over here in the top and the bottom. And we're going to multiply by 6 times x minus 2 over here in the top and the bottom. Okay. So now what we're going to get is 42x from up here. And then when you multiply this, you've got to make sure there's this negative right here. So you want to make sure that you distribute this negative x out. I don't really like how this is written. So we're going to assume that they meant to have a parentheses right here and here. So we're going to have this negative x be distributed to both of these things. So for instance, this is going to give me negative, this is going to be negative 6x squared. Negative 6x squared, because negative x times positive 6x is going to give me negative 6x squared. And then negative x times negative 12 is going to give me negative 12x. And I'm doing things. Whoops. Negative 12x. And then I've got this negative 3. Negative 3 times 6x is going to give me negative 18x. And negative 3 times negative 2 is going to give me positive 6. All over 36x times x minus 2. The reason why I'm writing this as 36x is because 6 times 6 is going to give me 36. Just going to make our lives a little bit easier. Okay? So we're going to combine our like terms. And this looks like a hot mess, so this is going to give me negative 6x squared. And then it's going to give me negative 30 plus 42. So negative 30 is going to come from here, plus 42, so that's going to give me positive 12x plus 6. Oof. All over 36x minus, you get the picture. Now, you would essentially factor this and see if you could cancel things out. And you can take a moment and try that. And yes, you will notice that you can factor those out. So I'll show you that in just a second. As I was saying, you can factor this. So you're going to get negative 36 up in the top from your A times C. Your B is going to be 12. What two numbers will make that happen? Nothing. Nothing can make that happen. Nope. None of that can make that happen because this wouldn't work. So with that being said, you can take out a 6 from this though, and that might make your life a little bit easier. So this will make negative 6. We're going to pull out just a regular 6 because we're going to see that that negative doesn't actually go anywhere. So this will give me negative x squared plus 2x plus 1 all over 36x times x minus 2. All right, so what you're going to notice here is that these can simplify. So that's going to give me negative x squared plus 2x plus 1 over 6x times x minus 2, where x cannot equal 0, because if we took this 6x and set it equal to 0 and solved, that would give us that. And then x cannot equal 2, because if we took this part and set it equal to 0 and solved. And I can work through 29, but your teacher's probably going to go over this in class. And it's the same process as everything else over here. The only difference is you would factor this first. So this is a lot like what 29 would have been. So what you're going to do here is you're going to factor this part first. So A times C is going to give you negative 4. B is going to give you 3. What two numbers will make that happen? 4 and negative 1. Yep. So this will be rewritten as x plus 4 times x minus 1. So I'm going to rewrite this whole problem, and then I'm going to multiply. So this will give me x minus 3 over x plus 4 times x minus 1 plus 2x over x plus 4. All right, cool. So what you're going to notice is that these are not the same. So I need to make them the same. So I'm going to take x minus 1 and multiply it in the top and the bottom over here. So The reason why I'm just multiplying by x minus 1 and not both, because if we multiply by x plus 4 over here, those are just going to cancel out, so it doesn't make a difference. So, all right, so now we're going to combine our like terms, and we're going to distribute. So over here, you're going to see that you can distribute here and here. So that'll give me 2x squared minus 2x. Over here, this will give me x minus 3. And this will become one big happy fraction. So now we're going to combine like terms here. So that's going to give me 2x squared minus, minus 1. One of these days I'll get really good at this, y'all. Sorry for my handwriting. Minus x minus 3 all over x plus 4 times x minus 1. So now we're going to check and see if we can factor this. So a times c is going to give me negative 6. B is going to give me negative 1. What two numbers will make that happen? Negative 3 and 2. And we do have to use the box. And the reason why we got to use the box is because their leading coefficient is bigger than 1. So we're going to put our first term in the first box, last term in the last box, and these two terms that I have, they're going to go here and here. So I'm going to take the greatest common factor of my rows and columns. Over here, this is going to give me x. This is going to give me 1. So in factored form, this is going to be 2x minus 3 times x plus 1 over x plus 4 times x minus 1. And no, these can't cancel out because they're opposite signs. But we do have to state that x cannot equal negative 4 or 1. And it kind of just depends on the test, and it kind of just depends on your teacher, whether or not they want you to write this out in factored form or if they want you to write it out in like actual standard form. Probably your test is going to be in standard form, but so all you would do is just multiply this all out, distribute it. But I really like y'all to notice this in factored form. So that was AKS 15. I'll start on AKS 20 on the next video.